With that, let's turn to a man who also knows Joe Biden well. He's the senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. Senator, has President Biden reached out to you?
No, I haven't talked to him before the election, but the problem with this whole Change America is you got to change it for the better, not for the worse. And look at what's happening at the border. It's changing for the worst because President Biden doesn't understand what he's doing when it comes to the border. He's going to put Vice President Harris in charge of cleaning up the mess at the border. I'd gladly work with her, but she doesn't understand what has generated this problem. This is not a Trump problem. This is a Biden problem. It's pretty hard to fix a problem if you don't know what the problem is. So I think the Republican Party is going to come roaring back because this radical agenda will not go down well with middle America.
But Senator, look, he's close to blowing up the filibuster right now. The $5 trillion is in the hopper right now. And he has popularity over 50% right now. And he's got both seats of government right now. What makes you think the next thing going down your throat, because he's not going to negotiate with you, is not going to be an infrastructure package full of things you never planned on?
It could be, but to change the filibuster, it's not as easy as you think it is. There's a quorum requirement in the Senate. Don't want to get too technical, but you can't pass anything in the Senate unless you have 51 people show up. If they do this radical move to change the Senate, to make D.C. a state, to spend multiple trillions of dollars on their liberal wish list, we do have some power up here to fight back, and we will. But I think it's all going to come undone around immigration. The President Trump brought order to chaos. Why do we have so many unaccompanied minors coming to the border? It's not because of seasonal changes. Joe Biden changed Trump policy, and it was pretty simple. Trump was going to send every unaccompanied minor back to their home country, check them for human rights abuse, but they were all going back home. Joe Biden said, we will no longer deport unaccompanied minors, and they're coming by the tens of thousands. Trump said, if you apply for asylum, you got to wait in Mexico to your court date. You can't be released in the United States. The Biden administration did away with the Remain in Mexico policy that Trump had, and by the summer there's going to be at least 1 million people knocking on our door at the border unless they reinstate Trump policies. We'll see if Vice President Harris can figure this out.
Well, look, there's no sense you don't have a sense of what Vice President Harris wants to do with the border. You don't have a sense what Joe Biden wants to do with the border except blame Trump. And those are those words today. You did have a proposal today, so you have a way of solving the border problem if people would tap into you. Yeah. You also want to do overhaul immigration. But it was just yesterday when they decided to go down and go to Guatemala and Mexico. Senator, what's it going to take to get to the Central American countries and even Mexico to get them to guard their own border?
Well, you know, Trump did it. Trump got the Mexican army to deploy along the southern border, and by tens of thousands. He created a situation where in the Triangle countries you would apply for asylum in your home countries, yeah. And the Northern Triangle countries worked with Trump because they were afraid of him. He's willing to help the Northern Triangle countries build their economy, but they got to help us with legal immigration. I do know what Harris thinks about the border. She wants to have open borders. She wants to provide illegal immigrants with free health care. That's what she said when she was running for president. But it's one thing to run for president and vice president, and it's another thing to do the job. The Mexican president said that he blames Joe Biden for the spike in illegal immigration. Joe Biden is blaming Donald Trump. Here's what the American people have figured out, that the border is deteriorating on Biden's watch because of the choices Biden has made. Not being Trump is the centerpiece of Biden's administration. When Trump got it right, it doesn't matter. They just don't want to be Trump. I'm going to the border tomorrow with 18 senators. I'll make a prediction that immigration will be a bigger issue in 2022 than it was in 2016.
You have to go to facilities where they don't choose to show us video. They're actually shooting our own video for us. What a nice thing for the government to do. So you got to go to Donna, Texas, where it's overrun. You have to go to places where they're in pens, maybe not cages, but they're in pens. Senator, we always talk about the double standard, but this is as egregious as it gets. When you talk about kids in cages, there are more kids than President Trump had on his watch right now, and they're broken up. This is a pandemic, mind you, and they're not exactly treated in sanitary conditions. But we are writing big checks for them to stay in hotels and on military bases.
Well, people are coming because the policy now allows you to stay in the United States. Unaccompanied minors under the Biden policy can stay in America. There were 684 kids in a shelter built for 80. This is a nightmare along the border. How do you fix it? Go back to the Trump policy of telling every unaccompanied minor and their family that if you come to America, you're going to go back home, you're not going to stay here. If you want to seek asylum in this country, you have to apply outside of America. You're not going to be released inside the country, hoping that you'll show up 4 or 5 years later for your court date. If you'll do those two things, which my bill does, this will stop in about 2 weeks. If you don't do this, it will never stop. So I believe that the visit this weekend to the border is going to be very important for the country to understand how these policies are failing. This will be the Achilles heel. The undoing of the Biden administration will be their immigration policies if they don't change course.
The unscripted portion of being president is something they're not ready for, whether you're falling downstairs or have a problem at the border, or Russia pulls their ambassador. That was not in the plan. Senator, if there's a problem in Afghanistan, you go. In Iraq, you go. In Syria, you go. If there's a problem at the border, you go. I wish more senators had your energy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Thanks.
You got it. Meanwhile,